This is David Comfort from Democracy Action Network. The S&P 500 has lost $4.5 trillion in just 1 month. That's trillion with a T, $4,500 billion, vanished into thin air. And yet, the architect of this economic catastrophe tells us there could be a little disruption. You can't really watch the stock market. Donald Trump promised Americans the greatest economy ever. Instead, he's delivered one of the worst stock market performances of any president's first 50 days in office. Unlike Obama in 2009, who inherited a financial crisis, Trump's crash is entirely self-inflicted. The culprit? A reckless tariff policy that economic experts across the political spectrum have condemned. 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods, 20% on Chinese imports. These aren't fees paid by foreign governments. They're taxes on American consumers that amount to $2,600 annually for the average household. Even Stephen Moore, who literally wrote the book Trumponomics, has called the president's tariff policies misguided. In his words, "We have a very wobbly economy. The economy needs a pick-me-up, and tariffs are not a pick-me-up." But Trump and his loyalists are spinning a dangerous fantasy. They claim this economic devastation is just temporary pain, necessary suffering on the path to an economic utopia free of foreign entanglements. One Trump-supporting columnist even suggested this destruction is merely a step toward an economy based on love of country and love of your neighbor. History isn't kind to this economic approach. Francisco Franco's autarky kept Spain poor for 20 years. Argentina's similar Peronism led to its fall from the ranks of rich nations. The Ming Dynasty and Soviet Russia both doomed themselves by sealing themselves behind iron curtains. The fundamental economic reality is inescapable. Trump's economic independence strategy will make Americans poorer in both the short and long term. By cutting the U.S. off from global trade, we lose the benefits of specialization that allow Americans to focus on high-value, high-tech work. Trump's tariffs on Canadian lumber, for example, mean either paying more for wood products or shifting American workers from professional jobs to lower-paid lumberjack positions. His policies will also devastate economies of scale for American manufacturers. Instead of accessing billions of potential customers worldwide, they'll be limited to hundreds of millions in the domestic market. And as other countries retaliate with their own tariffs, U.S. exporters will suffer alongside importers. Meanwhile, Trump's economic team is fabricating excuses. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent claims we need an economic detox from government spending addiction. But the data shows government purchases are a smaller share of GDP now than under Reagan. The supposed bloated government employment Bessent decries? It simply doesn't exist in the numbers. Remember Trump's campaign promise to bring down grocery prices on day one? Now, as Agriculture Secretary suggests Americans save money on eggs by raising their own chickens, consumer confidence is plummeting. The New York Fed's consumer survey shows Americans' expectations about their financial futures deteriorating considerably. The share of households expecting a worse financial situation 1 year from now has risen to its highest level since November 2023. This isn't just another economic cycle. It's deliberate sabotage disguised as tough medicine. There is no economic utopia waiting at the end of this painful journey. Just more pain, more dysfunction, and more blame. The stock market knows it. Economists know it. And increasingly, American consumers know it too. This is David Comfort from Democracy Action Network.